Hi guys, I am Dr. Fatumina.
Let's talk about a topic which may seem controversial.
How do you deal with your supervisor when he is a bully? Many people think that the challenges when it comes to a research or a PhD are within the project. Yes, the project can be challenging, but the real mental strain many times comes from the PI. We have PIs who are unsupportive, who gaslight their students, who take advantage of their students, who would use the work of their students and just tag their name on it. Don't take it. When I first started my PhD, I thought that being bullied and being mistreated was tough love. Anything that could possibly go wrong in a PhD is something that I went through. So how do you deal with these situations? The number one thing is collect data. When your supervisor communicates with you, try to keep that communication by email, not just by speaking. And if you do talk to them, in some cases, make sure that there is somebody else that is sitting there that can hear or listen to what's happening. When I first came forward in what was happening, it was very difficult to prove that what was happening was happening. Over time, I've collected all the emails that were sent to me and with all the horrible things that were said. That really supports your case. I know it feels like you're doing a whole PhD on toxic PIs, but what can we do? At the end of the day, you will be working with this person for the next 3 to 4 years. So there are two things that you can do. You can either apply for a PhD elsewhere and move on because honestly, your mental health is very important and he will thank you for it. Or you can try to resist, but you need to go and speak to your PI and tell him or her how they're making you feel or how their words are impacting you. Their response will give you an indication of what their intentions are. That is very important, and that is what many students don't do. You think my PI, this is the person that's going to be writing my references for the next 3 to 4 years. This person is the person that's going to be checking my thesis. I've been thinking all these things, and you know what the truth is? That in my current job, I didn't even need my PI's reference. You may have gone to your PI and your PI might gaslight you. It might just say something on the lines of,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Every department has a graduate tutor. I didn't even know about the presence of a graduate tutor until I went through all the student guideline. It had things that I didn't even know were in there, in terms of how your supervisor is supposed to behave, in terms of how the student is supposed to behave. The student guideline is what you need to read in order to understand what the responsibilities of the PI are and what your responsibilities are. When you go to the graduate tutor, you need to go to them with some sort of estimate. For example, I had emails, I had testimonials of people. I worked really hard. I could have become a lawyer by doing all of this. What else? Oh, and also you sort of need to prove that you also are a good student. And the other thing is increase your presence in whatever department you are. The science
communication opportunities, do it. STEM ambassador, do it. Any other opportunity in industry or any other role of responsibility, do it.
That says a lot about the type of person that you are. The reason why I was a STEM ambassador or applied to science competitions, it's really because I really enjoy that kind of stuff. My experience in my PhD sort of inspired me to become a STEM ambassador because I was thinking I want these children to see that there are engineers that look like me and behave like me and that there is nothing wrong with them. So I went to the science competitions with no expectations whatsoever. And if you can imagine, I did one of these competitions whilst I was fasting for about 16 hours plus. I cannot believe I won that science competition. That was one of the highlights. When I tell you the highlights of my PhD, it is if you go into positions of responsibilities and you work hard at it, you look more reliable in front of the people that you go to for support. So there is a graduate tutor, there should be a student counsellor as well, and sometimes they will involve other people. The next question is, well, what happens if now, everything is in the out? My supervisor or my PI knows that I have been going to the graduate tutor, who, by the way, will keep your information private. Well, your next question will be, who's going to be looking at my thesis? The truth is that when it comes to PhD thesis, your PI shouldn't be the only person looking at your thesis. You should actually be having a secondary or tertiary supervisor. Thus, the secondary and tertiary supervisors are there for that very reason. If you and your primary supervisor have a clash, the secondary and tertiary supervisor can come in to help or, also look at your thesis. It is the responsibility of your primary supervisor to be looking at your thesis. You should be asking for a secondary or tertiary supervisor to also do the check to ensure that their feedback sort of comes together. Secondary or tertiary supervisor doesn't necessarily need to be in your field of work. When it comes to standing up to a toxic PhD supervisor, don't let him bully you. Speak up. Make note of whatever happens, the date, the time. Do collect any emails or any sort of communications that you had. Don't be scared of going to the graduate tutor or counsellor because they're there to support you. I've also went to the University Psychological Services. That was the first thing that I did. I referred myself to psychological services because I wanted to know that what I was feeling was actually what I was feeling and it wasn't all in my mind. That should show you the level of gaslighting that I had to go through. But my counsellor being like, no, your situation is pretty extreme and you need to do something about it. That's when I decided to speak up and I had the courage to actually go to the graduate tutor and ask for help. Don't be afraid. You're going to be doing that PhD for 3-4 years. You really don't want to be in a toxic relationship with your supervisor for those 3 to 4 years. The final thing that I was going to say is that if you were to decide to quit your PhD or to pursue a PhD elsewhere, that doesn't make you weak. That just means that you want to protect your mental health. If you got accepted into the PhD, it means that you deserve to be there. Don't be afraid to speak up. Your supervisors are people and it can only make sense that sometimes you are not always going to be getting on with them. The moment that they become toxic, the moment that they hinder your growth, then there is something wrong and you need to do something about it. It's me going in the dark, but it's not uncommon to have toxic PIs. I've seen students being pushed to the edge and some trying to take their own lives, and these are serious things that people don't talk about. This is the dark side of doing a doctorate that people are not going to tell you about. Not many people speak up about these things. You know, they think, well, this happened to me, I've moved on. Thanks for listening, you guys. And again, if you like my videos, please do subscribe because I'm new to this YouTube thing and I would love to share more videos, but obviously I need to know if you find them helpful. I hope that, you know, my advice and my tips can help you, and if you do have any questions, feel free to jot down your questions. I don't even know if this works, but feel free to jot down your questions. Bye.